Welcome to Conversations with Sarah. I'm Sarah Reddan, therapeutic coach of SRTT, and today I'm joined by Dawn to share her journey to self-love. Welcome, Dawn. Thank you for joining me.
You're welcome. Hi, Sarah.
So you've got quite a story to share. I don't know, would you like to give a little bit of an introduction sort of into who you are and what we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously I'm Dawn, 47 today.
Happy birthday!
You. And 2 years ago, I embarked on weight loss surgery. I had a sleeve gastrectomy, which came from many years from being around the age of 11 of really not liking me. So it took a lot of soul searching, a lot of thought, because obviously it's a major operation.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It is quite a major operation, and it's not something I assume that you can just wake up one morning and say, I'm having this surgery, and it just happens for you. So I assume it's quite a long process to actually get to the point of being able to have the surgery.
It is, yeah. So there are two options, really. So you can do it privately, which I wouldn't recommend to people, if I'm honest, but whatever I say, Sarah, are my opinions.
Yeah, it's your personal journey.
Absolutely. But I think for me, so there's the private route, then there is the NHS route, and it was the NHS route that I took. And it's the NHS route that I think explores the psychological side of it, which for me was and still is the most important part of this journey. Whereas the private route literally checks your BMI, books you in, and goes ahead and does the surgery without exploring all of those reasons that got you to the place that you are with the weight.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I was particularly interested in having this conversation with you and you sharing your story, because it appeared that you come very much from the kind of body positive space, and recognizing that it's not about external appearance, it's about what's going on inside you and healing that alongside how you want your body to look. So it was really important to me, and my ethos around, we all have value, whatever shape or size we are, that it was somebody that came and kind of was alongside that for me to share this story today.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I know I meet a lot of people because I'm on a lot of forums about weight loss surgery, about weight loss in general. And for me, it was a lot of people, they were striving for what they felt was perfection, in a sense of size 10, the size 12. And for me, I never wanted to get to that point. I always had in my head and my heart that actually, if you could put me at a curvy size 16, 18, that's where I was happy. And I was never about striving for what social media, for what magazines said was how you had to look to be beautiful. It was about what I had inside here that I felt I would feel beautiful at.
So I know that you described yourself, like, prior to surgery, as someone who was morbidly obese. So what was life like for you when you were feeling that's what life was?
It was horrendous. So I struggled to walk. I was out of breath. I couldn't do everyday tasks like, I'm going to be quite personal now, but I couldn't even reach round and wash my backside in the shower. I had to put thing on the end of a stick, bending over, tying shoelaces, putting socks on. It was impossible. And they were just the physical side of things. The emotional side of things, I would, even though I'm quite outgoing and loud, I kind of felt that if I was loud and bubbly, people would see that and not the body. So I kind of wanted to be visible to the world, because I didn't want people to look at me. I just wanted them to hear me, because if they heard me, they couldn't see me. It was awful, and it was sitting in front of a GP actually for a checkup, where he said to me, Dawn, you know, your BMI is 56.5, and if you don't do something, you're not going to see your 50s because your heart won't take it. And I think it was that realization, because no matter what, Sarah, I would always dress to my size, I would always work full time, but it was becoming a struggle.
Yeah.
And I think it was when he said that, something kind of clicked inside to say, you can't keep doing this.
Yeah. And is that what made you have the surgery, or did more happen before you got to that point?
I think it was that, and the fact that I was classed as, and I hate this term with passion, but I was classed as a geriatric mum. So I have a 6-year-old daughter who is full of life, but I was 40 when I had my daughter.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be around for my children.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be around, and I didn't want to be that mum that sat on the bench at the edge of the park. I wanted to be the mum that was able to stand and get on the slide with her and have fun with her. And I think it was a combination of health, definitely health. Vanity never came into me now, ever. It was about health. It was about quality of life.
Yeah.
Because I had quality of life, I existed, and that was it. There was no living to be had. It was just pure existence, day-to-day existence.
Yeah.
That I'd had enough of. And I thought, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. And you said with the route that you went down, that it wasn't just about the physical surgery, there was other things that kind of had to happen as well. Do you mind sharing a little bit about what else went alongside the surgery?
Yeah, I think the main thing was the psychological side of things, and having conversations with psychologists around where did my eating habits come from, because although I'm aware that people gain weight through medication, through illnesses, mine was purely eating the wrong thing. So we had to talk a lot about where the eating habits came from, how they established, and I think mine definitely came from a very young age, around just little things like, I grew up in a family where you cleared your plate, and you weren't allowed to leave anything on your plate because it was just not heard of. So I quickly developed the habit of finishing whatever food was on my plate, which then took me into adulthood. And you know, I would have a full plate of food that no matter how full I was, I would carry on eating it. And that habit was instilled. So there was a lot about that. It was established what type of eater I am. So I'm a visual eater. If it's there, if I see it, I eat it. If it's not there, I'm fine. And I think one book that I swear by is a book called Living with Bariatric Surgery. Okay. Now, the first part of that book is very much around the psychological side of why and how you eat food. And it's not, I don't think it would be helpful for just people with bariatric surgery. It would be helpful for anybody to help.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. One of the programs that I do and the way that I work with clients is around sort of reframing the relationship with food, because it is, like you say, the empty plate club, the comfort eating, the emotional connections that we have with food, those unconscious drivers that lead us to make choices that aren't always in our best interest. And in my opinion, in my experience, and I think what you're sharing as well, until you kind of tackle those, understand those, be able to work through that and have that understanding of yourself, it's difficult to shift the thought, the behaviors, and the way it's, once you tap into that kind of inherent, we've all know when to stop eating, we just learn to override it. So once you can tap into that inherent like, yes, I'm full, I'm satisfied, I'm choosing to eat through true hunger, not any other reason, and actually process your emotions, express your emotions, it shifts, doesn't it? And it changes, and there's so much power in that yeah, it's so important. But I hear for you, like, the surgery was something that really needed to happen. Do you mind sharing sort of where you were at before you had surgery? Are you happy to share that?
Do you mean weight-wise?
Weight-wise, size-wise, because I know I know it's on your socials, and it's something that you've put out there.
So I was 25 stone with a BMI of 56.5, and I was a size 28 to 30. So I am currently, well, when I got on the plane over here to Torremolinos, I was 15 stone. I'm probably that 15 stone 2 now, because I have had quite a bit of Spanish. Are they called Cheerios? I keep calling them Cheerios, but the churros, the sweet.
Yeah.
So I 15 stone, so I've lost just 10 stone, and I'm a size 8, 16, 18.
Yeah.
So huge
but
difference.
That has transformed your life, from what I'm hearing from you, that having that surgery and understanding the way that you are and being able to make those changes has completely shifted everything for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is one thing that I will always have an addiction to sugar.
Yeah.
That the surgery hasn't got rid of that. And I absolutely have to fight that every single day. And I think I will always have to fight that. But I win most of the time, the sugar doesn't. Yeah. And I think it's what going through the psychological process and understanding what my nemesis is. I think that's helped me say, no, you've had sugar today, you've had that, you go and eat healthy now. Yeah. I know what the outcome is, because I can regain all of the weight if I don't continue to eat healthy. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think before surgery, and I was very, very, very large. I felt that way, and the weight was just at 25 stone and a BMI of 56.5. I think anybody would agree that that's an unhealthy weight and an unhealthy place to be. And my life was not great. Yeah. It really wasn't.
So how has life changed since the surgery?
Oh my God, it's amazing. So I am no longer the mum that sits on the bench. I am no longer the bag lady at theme parks. I go on the rides with my daughter. I can walk for, I'd like to say miles, but I'm not a lover of walking. But
you can.
I can. Yeah. That's the difference. If I wanted to, I could.
Yeah.
I can paint my own toenails from just bending over position, sitting on a chair. I can now wash my own backside in the shower. So my sex life has improved massively. I don't know if I'm allowed to share that with you.
You can share whatever you want, like, because we're all adults. Like, it's a part of life, isn't it? We all want to have a joyful life, and that's an element of it. So yeah.
I mean, my husband thinks he's got himself a new wife, let me tell you, because that's improved massively. Obviously, my confidence, I've always been a confident person, but I don't want that invisibility anymore. Yeah. I want to be seen. And I think one of the things that I'd always wanted to do was a boudoir photo shoot, but never had the confidence to do it. And this surgery gave me the confidence to have that boudoir photo shoot. And I think that's where my shift in wanting to help other people happened.
Yeah, and I believe the boudoir shoot is how we got connected, because one of my previous guests linked you in to me. So thank you to them, and thank you to you for coming along. So you said the boudoir shoot has helped you, but also helped you help others. So how are you helping others, like, from your story, from your journey?
So obviously my Instagram account is relatively new, but I think my first posts were around sharing just positive quotes. Then I shared photos of the boudoir shoot, and a lot of women who are either on a journey of weight loss, who are on a journey of self-love, reached out to me and said that they found me inspirational. And I think those quotes then led me to talk and do some videos around body positivity and around loving yourself and just being real, you know, because I'd had a lot of questions around the fact that you've not got loose skin. How have you lost 10 stone and not lost loose skin? And I thought, well, I have, but I hide it in these like Spanx type outfits under my clothes. So I think the way that I've helped others is by doing the videos on Instagram, by being honest, being real.
There's power, isn't there, in sharing our stories and sharing our experiences and showing the reality of who we are, and sharing your story and your experience of sort of the surgery and kind of, you know, where you are now. I think, it's really powerful for people to be able to connect and see a real person, a real body, and what a real body looks like. As one of the things you touched on at the beginning, I think there is unfortunately in society expectations that we're all going to look a specific way to kind of conform to some societal norm, and some people consider having surgical options, I'm trying to think how to word this, because they want to fit a stereotype, they want to be this, like you said, perfection, and yes, surgery I think is going to help you with some stuff, but there's I want to say downsides to it as well. I guess there must be some bits that aren't all positive, aren't all kind of, am I making sense? Like, what have been your downsides to the surgery is where I'm trying to get.
See, I'm quite lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones, because I haven't had any complications, and there haven't been any downsides for me, but I have come across friends and people who I've met throughout this process who have had downsides to the point where physically they've been sick when they've been eating, when initially. Some people haven't lost the weight that they've wanted, and I think that's where I've tried to help people, is trying to get out to that community and say, you know what, don't do this for exactly what you just said a couple of minutes ago, Sarah. Don't do this for what you feel society needs you to be. Do this for you. And if you want to look in the mirror and see a curvaceous size 18, make that your goal. Not what social media tells you should be. And I think that for me is the downside, is when I see and hear of women and men, it's not just the women, it's men as well, who are at a size 16 and they're sad, they're wanting to give up, they're saying they failed because they haven't reached that size 10. And I start to them and say, well, why do you want to be the size 10? Well, I've got to be, because if I'm not, then I've not done it. No, that's not true. And you know, that's how I've helped people, by just sharing my stories and letting them see me. And I think the most powerful thing that's happened is a lady messaged me, and it was after she'd seen one of my videos around somebody who had messaged me on Instagram and said, how can you talk about body positivity when you wear a face full of makeup? And I was really honest, and on this video I said, you know, when I wake up in the morning, love, I look like I've been dug up, but that to me is not me being at my best. So when I put my makeup, I feel lovely. So ultimately, this lady messaged me and said, I have been on such a downer with depression. I've not liked what I've seen in the mirror, but you've really helped me with your honesty and your truthfulness, and just putting it out there that actually you can walk around without makeup and feel lovely. It's not about
Yeah.
people. And she said to me, you know, you've really helped me get me out of a place of where I wasn't happy. And that for me was powerful. That
Yeah, because body positivity to me is very much embracing who you are. And if who you are wants to put all the makeup in the world on, why not? Like, it doesn't, wearing makeup, I'm not saying you wear all the makeup in the world, I just mean anyone. Wearing makeup doesn't mean that you don't love who you are. You can still love who you are, put makeup on your face, and then it's just another part of creative self-expression. It's different for me in my curiosity about the world. If you felt that, not you, if people are at a stage where they feel that they only can be accepted by other people if they're wearing all of their makeup and dressed in a certain way, that's when it's like, you know, are you completely in touch with who you are and want, you know, can you completely love who you are? Because wearing makeup doesn't mean you don't love who you are.
I agree wholeheartedly. And it's not about, I would walk around without makeup on and absolutely not give a monkey's what people think. Ultimately, I wear makeup for me.
Exactly.
Because I feel good.
Yeah.
And the clothes that I wear them because I feel good. I wear them because they suit my body shape, they suit my body size. But you're right, it's really about looking in that mirror, thinking, yeah, I like that, I love that, and I am just gonna be me. Now I have to think about it every day, because there are days I look in the mirror and I think, oh Lord above, you look a bit rough today.
Yeah.
But we all have that, that's normal.
But it's still loving who you are under that. It's being able to, because I'm 44, so of course I am starting to notice the lines of aging, you know, things don't sit where they sat, and you can look in the mirror and you kind of like, oh, okay, this is happening today. But that doesn't mean you love yourself any less. It's really that it's such a complex kind of space, isn't it? And kind of being able to be like, oh, I've got a new wrinkle, but that's okay. It's wisdom, it's growing. Or I'm going to give myself a facial and it's like, you know, try and make sure there's no extra wrinkles tomorrow. It doesn't mean I love myself any less. I just realizing I haven't drank enough water.
Do you know what the biggest thing for me was, Sarah? It was removing filters.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing for me, was having, because I started putting filters on a lot of things. And I thought, you know what? That's not what I look like.
Yeah.
So I made a huge decision to remove all filters from my photos and videos.
And isn't that tricky? Just from the point of view, my phone has just recently updated and I took some photos and it's automatically filtered now.
Yeah.
And I don't add filters because it confuses my brain to look at a filtered picture of myself, because it isn't me and that's not how I look. But my phone had just put them on because I was like, oh, my skin looks so smooth. And I'm looking in the mirror and I was like, how does this photo look like this? And it's automatic filters. It's this really kind of, it is almost like this little message that you're not good enough just as you are. Of course we want to capture our best self. As I'm doing the podcast, I've got a ring light shining on me. I do have some makeup on, because when we're filming, lights and all of that do change kind of the way we want to look healthy, we want to look vibrant, but we still want to look like us, don't we?
Yeah. Exactly the same thing. I tried to take a photograph last night and I just upgraded to a new phone, and literally every time I took a photo it changed it and added this filter, and I'm like, I don't want to look like that, I want to look like me. And you know, and yeah, I'm with you, stop it. Let's just be who we are, because ultimately, Sarah, if any of us get kidnapped with these filters on, no one can find us, because
Yeah.
they're a filtered person.
Yeah, and I think again, it's, you know, it's fun, it's that self-expression, it's that creativeness, and if you want to put a filter on your picture and you want to make that choice, that's great. But it did feel like there's a kind of almost a message of, unless there is a filter on your picture, you are not looking good enough. And I was like, oh, and I noticed sort of in, you know, the wellness world that I'm in, because there's all these really professional headshots, people look really well groomed. You know, most of my photos that go out are just little selfies that I've done. And it is quite easy, I think, to get into that mindset of comparing yourself and feeling like you're not enough because you don't look away, because that's what we're bombarded with. So I think it's brilliant, people like yourself sharing more kind of your day-to-day stuff and being like, this is me, this is how I look right now. Yes, I can put the makeup on, yes, I can put the filter on, and you know, that's fun, and that's part of who I am too. But here's me, you know, not from the best angle, here's me, you know, doing this thing, doing that thing. I think it's so important that we're being able to see more of that, because I do feel that this filtered lifestyle, this Instagram perfection, is having such a negative impact on people's self-image, ability to love themselves as they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that for me is my ultimate aim, is to just put myself out there as somebody who's come from a place of self-hate, and that's where I want to deny that, on a journey to actually start loving me and who I am, and be real and be true to myself. And I think that is where I want to, that's where I want to go with this, is just being real. And yeah, you just have to love yourself for who you are, for who you want to be.
So I mean, your journey of self-love, I know you've talked about like your weight loss surgery, but it sounds like there's been so much more than that gone on for you. And what do you want to share to people that are listening, sort of who are maybe at the beginning of their self-love journey? What things do you want to impart?
I think for me, it would be, the first thing would be to don't conform to social media. There will be people out there who you look at and think, oh my God, you are stunning. And that's okay. We're all allowed to look at people and think they're beautiful. But don't strive to be that person. I think be your best, be the best that you can be. If you want to walk out with no makeup on, do it. If that's how you feel happy. I think it's all about body positivity. Self-love is all about how you feel about yourself, and it's massively, I think social media has so much to answer, and you know, we're doing social media now, but ultimately we're doing the right reason. But I think go with what you see in the mirror, and if you love that image, then you be proud of it, and you do what makes you happy, and just be you. Absolutely be who you want to be.
And I agree with you. There's so much power in being who you are and learning to love yourself, like exactly as you are. We all age, we change, our bodies change. You know, how we look is different. We age. Things are going to change, and being able to love who you are, it is an inside job, and there's so much beauty shines through when a person is connected in with who they are, confident with who they are, and that, I think, like as a society, is kind of more what we need to be aiming for, that being in love with who you are and being able to shine that out to the world and share your you-ness, because there's so much beauty in that.
There is absolutely so much beauty in that. And you know, I don't think either of us would say we're not talking about walking around naked with everything hanging out. It's about enhancing what you have and looking at just, so for example, I wear the wear your own bra bodysuits because they feel good and they smooth me out. But that doesn't mean I'm trying to cover up what I've got and I don't love what I've got. It just means I'm doing something that makes me feel happier and makes me love myself a little bit more. So
I think that's it though, isn't it? It's finding what works for you, not sort of like this perfection. I mean, I don't follow really anyone on Facebook that's or social media that would be considered a celebrity for aesthetic reasons. I've talked about it before, I've curated social media that very much enhances my mental health, my emotional health. I follow bodies of all shapes and sizes. I follow people that are inspirational, because I feel very much that social media is like, opening your front door and saying to all the negative things in the world, please come in. So I think it's really important to curate a space that supports your wellness. And I think from there's a big part of me that thinks the world would be a better place if we just didn't care so much about bodies, other people's bodies, and would be quite happy if none of us ever had to wear clothes or think about those things, because it's just like, oh, so much to think about. I just think that this, I know, like, I'm not a nudist. I just think there's something in that if society was different and we didn't put so much stock on aesthetic and this physical perfection, and put more energy into emotional health and mental health and being able to care for ourselves, it's that shift around not trying to look a perfect way, but actually filling ourselves with health, because we can look all sorts of ways and be healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people like you and I, Sarah, are slowly shifting that. I really do. I believe that. And I think if our voices keep being heard, and I and myself and other people like me continue to be positive, be real, then more and more people, because there are probably 20, 30 women that have actually embraced the way that I'm portraying myself, to think, yeah, I can do that. Yeah. And the more of us that do it, and the more of us that stand tall and say, I am real, I do have wrinkles, I do have spots, my teeth aren't perfectly white, I have got lumpy bits and cellulite, and my fake tan don't always go on great. Okay. Ultimately, we will create, hoping with every ounce of my heart, that we will create a society that is full of people who embrace what they have and love what they have.
Yeah, because there is space for every shape and size, and there's beauty in what may be perceived as imperfection. Those are the little things that make us who we are, isn't it? And being able to love that about ourselves. I really wish, and I think this is where you come from as well, I really wish that I could help every woman, every person out there to be able to look in the mirror and be like, yeah, I love me.
Yeah, we will get there.
Thank you so much for coming on and speaking with me and sharing some of your story. I am noticing the time, so I think it's probably, even though I feel that we could probably talk for hours, and there's lots more we could explore about your surgery and your journey and where you've been. So I'm sure if people have got questions, they can pop on and ask the questions, and either you'll answer or I'll find some resources to send them in the right direction. So thank you so much for coming on and speaking with me today. Is there anything else that you want to leave people listening with?
I would just echo everything you've said. Let's love ourselves, let's love our reflection in the mirror, and let's go out there and be happy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being my guest today. Thank you for coming and sharing your story, especially taking time out on your birthday, on your holiday, to come and speak with me.
You're welcome. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone that's listening. I really hope that you've enjoyed today's episode. I do love to hear your feedback and your suggestions. So to find out more about me, or my guests, or to get in touch, visit srtt.co.uk or follow SRTT podcast on social media. I'll be back next Wednesday with a new guest. And until then, stay curious and be kind to yourself.